praise, esteem, and honor to the Most High Yah by way of Yahushua HaMashiach. Let's go to John 5:39. Search the scriptures, for in them you think you have eternal life, and there they which testify of me, and you will not come to me that you might have life. I receive not honor from men, but I know you, that you have not the love of Elohim in you. I come in my Abba's name, and you receive me not. If another shall come in his own name, him you will receive. How can you believe which receive honor one of another, and seek not the honor that come from Elohim only? Do not think that I will accuse you to Abba. There is one that accuse you, even Moses, in whom you trust. For had you believed Moses, you would have believed me, for he wrote of me. But if you believe not his writings, how shall you believe my words? Let's look at Romans chapter 8, verse 14. Romans chapter 8, verse 14. Yeah, man. And it says, make it 13. For if you live after the flesh, ye shall die. But if ye through the Ruach do mortify the deeds of the body, ye shall live. For as many as are led by the Ruach of Elohim, they are the sons of Elohim. For you have not received the Ruach of bondage again to fear, but you have received the Ruach of adoption, whereby we cry, Abba, Father. The Ruach itself bear witness with our Ruach that we are the children of Elohim. Shalom, Kira. The children of Elohim. And the children then heirs. Heirs of Elohim and joint heirs with a Mashiach. If so be that we suffer with him, that we may be also esteemed together. For I reckon that the sufferings of this present time are not worthy to be compared with the esteem which shall be revealed in us. For the earnest expectation of the creature wait for the manifestation of the sons of Elohim. We talked about the sons of Elohim last week, but he sit back and he looked at the manifestation of the sufferers, and that these things cannot be compared to the esteem which will be revealed in us. So let's take ourselves to the 23rd chapter of Job. Actually, we want to go to the 16th chapter of Jeremiah first. The 16th chapter of Jeremiah first. 16th chapter of Jeremiah. Jeremiah 16:1. You're going to hear a little bit about the punishment. You're going to hear a little bit about the promise. We're really focusing on the promise. But we got to hear a little bit of the punishment first. The word of Yahuwah came also unto me, saying, Thou shalt not take thee a wife, neither shalt thou have sons and daughters in this place. But thus saith Yahuwah concerning the sons and concerning the daughters that are born in this place, and concerning their mothers that bear them, and concerning their fathers that begat them in this land. They shall die of grievous deaths, and they shall not be lamented, neither shall they be buried, for they shall be as dung upon the face of the earth. They shall be consumed by the sword and by famine, and their carcasses shall be meat for the fowls of Shamahim, and for the beasts of their rest. But thus saith Yahuwah, enter not into the house of mourning, neither go to lament nor bemoan them, for I've taken away my shalom from this place, saith Yahuwah, even loving kindness and mercies. Now, of course, he's saying that he's done all of this because of the people's sins. Nevertheless, both the great and the small shall die in this land. They shall neither be buried, neither shall men lament for them, nor cut themselves, nor make themselves bald for them. Neither shall men tear themselves for them in mourning to comfort them for the dead. Neither shall men give them the cup of consolation to drink for their father or for their mother. Thou shalt not also go into the house of feasting to sit with them to eat and to drink. Now, he said something about the cup of consolation. The word for consolation is a comfort, and that word is takom. Notice that he said that they wouldn't be given, men wouldn't give them the cup of consolation to drink for their father, their mother, for them to mourn. Now, you have a tau, a noon, a kot, a u, and a mean for this particular word. When you look at this particular word, if we take this tau, clearly we're going to come with covenant. That's what we're going to come with, or mark or seal. Probably going to just go ahead and use seal. When we got noon, instead of saying the seal of life, we could say the seal of the sun. Or life continuing, whichever one you would choose to do. take that cot, and now we begin to separate. Bring that ooh in, and now we have a sacrifice, and then we have that mean or that water, or even the blood. So what we turn around and we look at is that when you're separated by the blood or the sacrifice of blood of the Son of continual life, you get sealed. This is that compassion, because he told them they wouldn't have the cup of that consolation for their father or their mother. We know full well from Isaiah chapter 9, that he said he would be called mighty Abba. We also know that he told you, take, drink, this is the new cup testament, which is shared for many for the remission of sins. But why is this important if you're talking about a cup of consolation? You need to go to Matthew chapter 20, and as far as we're dealing with where we've started at in Romans 8, that the glory that will be revealed is not going to compare to the sufferings that we take at the present time. So he said, you won't get the cup of consolation. Matthew chapter 20 and 20. Got your little hamburger? Little hot dog? We can eat a little better than that. (20 and 20). Then came to him the mother of Zebedee's children with her sons worshiping him and desiring a certain thing of him. He said unto her, what wilt thou? She saith unto him, grant that my two sons may sit, the one on thy right hand and the other on the left in thy kingdom. But Yahushua answered and said, you know not what you ask. Are you able to drink of the cup that I shall drink of, and to be immersed with the immersion that I'm immersed with? They say unto him, we are able. So again, he said in Jeremiah that the people of the land would not get to drink from the cup of that consolation, a cup of compassion, a cup of mercies, because these people have sinned. So let's look at another place where we can see the usage of this word, and we'll take ourselves to the 94th Psalms, and we'll pick it up probably about verse 15. After that, we'll take ourselves to the 21st chapter of Job. Because we know the esteem that was, because we've dealt with this cup in so many different ways. And in so many different places we could look at it. It's the cup of trembling. Isaiah told you it was the cup of his wrath, but it was consolation in this cup as well, as we know that Yahushua stated that it was for the remission of sins. So those who drink of that cup do show forth Yahushua's death till he comes. That's what the Apostle Paul wrote to us. So when we show forth his death till he comes, this is why he says that you got to endure hardness as a good soldier of Yahushua HaMashiach. Now, specifically, he's talking to a preacher as referring to Timothy. You know what I'm saying? Because you got to endure hardness to show yourself faithful to him who chose you to be a soldier. But even though we know that he's talking to a minister and a teacher of the word, if we was to take that and just apply that to somebody who's dealing with the word, because you still got to be a soldier for the Lord, soldier for Yahuwah, soldier for Yahushua, and you have to be able to endure. That's where that patience come in at, and we have to be able to take it. So that's why we're going to turn around and look at Job in a moment. We mentioned this in Psalm and James, and we're going to revisit it, what he mentioned in James. But let's get to Psalms 94 and 15. Psalms 94 and 12. Baruch is the man whom thou chasten, O Yahuwah, and teach him out of thy Torah, that thou may give him rest from the days of adversity until the pit be digged for the wicked. For Yahuwah will not cast off his people, neither will he forsake his inheritance. But judgment shall return unto righteousness, and all the upright in heart shall follow it. Who will rise up for me against the evildoers? Who will stand up for me against the workers of iniquity? Unless Yahuwah had been my help, my soul had almost dwelt in silence. When I said my foot slipped, thy mercy, O Yahuwah, held me up. In the multitude of my thoughts within me, thy comforts delight my soul. So again, we see the word for consolation come up here for comfort, and this is the takum. So again, what do we come up with? We come up with that the separation of the seal of the Son of Life, or the separation of the sacrifice of blood, or the sacrifice of Yahushua, will seal you and separate you to a seal or a covenant of continuing life. He said those comforts delighted his soul. Now remember, we looking in Romans where Paul stated that our sufferings do not compare to the esteem that be revealed in us at the present time, because we waiting for the manifestation of the sons of Elohim. So when we look at the things that he says that thy comforts delight my soul. So we look at the separation of literally being a son of God. This delights my soul. This is somebody who's talking about he's facing some level of adversity, persecution, or tribulation. Before we go to where I was finna go. And again, this is talking about that cup of consolation that you got to drink, because you got to be able to drink it. Everybody's not able. Matter of fact, let me go to Acts 14 and 22 first, then Hebrew chapter 6, and then 1 John chapter 3, which I don't have. You got another book over there, Mike? I appreciate you, sir. Acts 14 to 19. Thank you. Acts 14 and 19. And there came thither certain Yahudim from Antioch and Iconium, who persuaded the people, and having stoned Paul, drew him out of the city, supposing he had been dead. Howbeit, as the disciples stood round about him, he rose up and came into the city the next day, and he departed with Barnabas to Derbe. And when they had preached the Basar to that city and taught many, they returned again to Lystra and to Iconium and to Antioch, and confirming the souls of the disciples, and exhorted them to continue in the faith, that we through much tribulation enter into the kingdom of Elohim. Now, he say through much tribulation. Paul, let's go over here to what is here, man? John chapter 16. So I was talking about this here, man, and it is some relevance too, right? We could deal with a lot of stuff, and some people can deal with stuff even without the word because they're strong by nature. But you know what I'm saying? And I understand all of that. But I'm a firm believer, a firm one, that I don't care how strong you is. Do you know what I'm talking about? Any scenario in life will break you if Yahuwah is not present. Over a period of time, I staunchly abide by that. And when I see the strength of Elohim, I will continually give credit to whom credit is due when it is present. John 16 and 30. Make that 16 and 31. And see, we're going to see why I'm about to say why I said that. You know what I'm saying? Because he told you to continue in the faith, because you got to go through a lot of trouble to enter into the kingdom of Elohim. So they're exhorting them, they're warning them, they're encouraging them to continue. And they're doing this off the strength of a man who had just been stoned for the kingdom of Elohim. But yet he continued to push forward. 16 and 31 of the book of the Apostle John. Yahushua answered them, do you now believe? Behold, the hour come, yea, is now come, that ye should be scattered every man to his own, and shall leave me alone. Yet I am not alone, because Abba is with me. These things I have spoken unto you, that in me you might have shalom. In the world you shall have tribulation, but be of good cheer. I've overcome the world. Let's look at the key thing of what this man just stated. He said that in me you might have shalom, that you might have peace, that you might have rest. But in this world, you're going to have some tribulation, but to be happy, because he's overcame it. Because that means if he's overcame it, that means that you're able to take up this cup of this consolation. Now, because you're able to take this cup of this consolation, you can be comforted in your mind. That's what we just read in Psalms 94:19. I will reiterate what's in Psalms 94:19 right now. This is why I'm said what I said before we read John 16. Without this man, it's impossible. He said, the multitude of my thoughts within me, thy comforts delight my soul. So with all that suffering and anything that this man was dealing with, he said in the multitude, the numerous thoughts that he had, that Yah's comforts delighted his soul in the midst of that adversary. This is why he said, in me you shall have shalom, but be of good cheer. Because your soul will be comforted, because I've overcame. Who is he that have overcome the world? But he that believes that Yahushua is the son of Elohim. This is our victory and even our faith, and this is where our strength emanates from. That's why I tell you, you can be strong without Yah, but I guarantee you there's a level of strength that cannot be touched unless Yahuwah is present. I don't care how strong you think you are. Do you know what I'm saying? That go for anybody. That man say his grace is made perfect in weakness. Do you know what I'm saying? Complete and total strength that cannot be fathomed and understood by people who do not have the words of the living Elohim in him, nor are they striving for the manifestation of the sons of Elohim. They cannot understand it. They cannot fathom it. They cannot achieve it. And if you believe otherwise, then you just call Yahushua a liar. And we know you're not going to do that. 1 John chapter 3, verse 1. Why will you have that level of strength? Oh, you got black people in your book. Well, black people, we are family. We are family. I got my brothers and sisters with me. I had no idea who sang that song. Nevertheless, 1 John chapter 3. Why would we have that level of strength? What would cause us to be able to have that level of strength? Well, let's look and see. But behold, what manner of love Abba hath bestowed upon us, that we should be called the sons of Elohim. Therefore the world know us not, because it knew him not. Beloved, now we are the sons of Elohim. It doth not yet appear what we shall be, but we know that when he shall appear, we shall be like him, for we shall see him as he is. And every man that have this hope in him purifies himself, even as he is pure. So why did I read that? Because it's the love that Abba bestowed upon us, that we could even have that cup of consolation, to even be comforted in our soul in tribulation, knowing that he loved us enough to make us the sons of Elohim. We just talked about sons of Elohim last week. Ye are gods, and all of you are sons of the Most High. You'll die like men and fall like princes. We saw Adam die like a man, and he fell like a prince because he had complete dominion over the whole earth. He was the ruler. We seen Yahushua come and die like a man because he was made, born of a woman, and he fell like a ruler because he was the ruler of all things, because we seen those unclean ruachs declare that he was the son of Elohim. Now we come in and we have to fall and die in that same fashion. And there's things in this life that we're going to have to endure and suffer on a multitude of levels, but our comfort will come through the word of Elohim. See, there's certain things that other people are going to suffer that other people are not. Reason being, some of them, and we're going to see this in a moment, some people faith is stronger than the others, to where some of y'all can't take the same stuff that somebody else take. Because it'll break you. And y'all know it'll break you. Do you know what I'm saying? So therefore, he wouldn't lay that burden upon you. You know, everybody uses that line. He won't put more on you than you can bear. That's not what the book say. The book say he wouldn't lay no more temptation on man that he could take. Not a burden. Because burden can be responsibility of something that you feel is another word for burden in English, like I know what it means, but it's an unnecessary load that you have to take care of that you don't necessarily look to do. You know what I'm saying? But nevertheless, let's take ourselves back to the 23rd chapter of Job. It was something else I was going to get. I can't remember what it was. I think I got them all. Praise y'all either way. Before we read the 23rd chapter of Job, I want you to come to Job 1:1, because for clarity's sake, we just read it off the page. Job 1:6. Make it 1:1 first. There was a man in the land of Uz whose name was Job. That man was perfect and upright, one that feared Elohim and eschewed evil. Job ain't do no evil. He was a complete man. He was Yashar. He was upright. He was just. He was Tamaim, he feared Yah, and he put evil away from him. Verse 6. Now there was a day when the sons of Elohim came to present themselves before Yahuwah. Hashatan came also among them. It's funny to me that when people read this, that they make it seem like Hashatan is the son of Elohim, when clearly there's an and. Anybody who knows anything about simple grammar know and is a separation word. Do you know what I'm saying? It's the sons of Elohim and Satan. Do you know what I'm saying? That'd just be like, I was with my grandmother and my daddy. Your grandmother is not your daddy, and your daddy is not your grandmother. You know what I'm saying? This is simple common sense. Yahuwah said unto Hashatan, whence comest thou? Then Satan answered Yahuwah and said, from going to and fro in their rats, and from walking up and down in it. Yahuwah said unto Hashatan, hast thou considered my servant Job? There's none like him in their rats. Remember, Hashatan means what? Adversary. So he's a tester. Why do you think that Yah say, have you considered? You want to try him since you walking down looking at, see, pause. 1 Peter chapter 5. Why would he say that? Because this is what this nigga like to do. He like to run up and down. He like to walk up and down the earth and try people. After that, Revelation chapter 12. I just want y'all to know why. Why do you think Yah said, have you considered? They don't think about that, though. Have you considered my servant Job? Well, let's see why. 1 Peter chapter 5. Verse 7, Verse 6, I should say, humble yourselves, therefore, make it 5. Likewise, ye younger, submit yourselves to the elder. Yea, all of you be subject one to another and be clothed with humility. For Elohim resist the proud and give grace to the humble. All he telling you is this instance for everybody to serve each other. Not that it's not order and that people don't outrank one another, but to serve one another. That's what he told you in the book. But like talking to my people up there in Detroit, and I'll tell you right now, niggas in the word don't love each other. Niggas feel like they obligated to be around each other. You know what I'm saying? Niggas get frustrated and aggravated when they got to do stuff for each other. You know what I'm saying? And that's not how it's supposed to be. Like I've said this numerous times, probably not too much recently, but if you believe Yahushua is in you, you supposed to look at your brother and see the Lord. You supposed to see him. That's why he said, if you did it to me, if you did it to the least of my brethren, you did it to me. That's what the book say, you let brotherly love continue and all this stuff that it's talking about. Because when it go down, when it really go down, you ain't gonna have nobody but the people who trust and believe in the same power that you do. And honestly, that's why I was telling you about that yesterday too, Will, about it. That's why niggas leave the word alone. You know what I'm saying? When they come through it, they be like, nigga, Christian niggas treated a nigga better than this. You know what I'm saying? That's what niggas. Now, at the same token, you got some niggas who flaw now, and niggas done looked out for them, and they act like niggas ain't look out for them. Am I lying though? All off the board. You got niggas who do it, but then you got niggas, boy, they only care about themselves. They only care about themselves. And if it's infringing on them, like this here, man. See, we were talking about this yesterday too, man. Whether word or no word, boy. If you're down with somebody, you supposed to be down when it's good. Like, but if I put it to you like Pimp C said, man, he said you got to be down with me in the good times and the bad times. He said Bun B was down with me in the good times and the bad times. You know what I'm saying? A lot of times niggas flee in the bad times. You know what I'm saying? Or only show up when something bad happens. Nigga don't come up for the middle stuff, the neutral stuff, the regular stuff. You know what I'm saying? And you know nigga love to show up when the good time coming because they trying to ask for something. You know what I'm saying? And that ain't what it's supposed to be. You supposed to be in the word. Yahuwah is always there. Yahushua is always there. So we supposed to look at one another as indispensable or interchangeable parts in his body, and we supposed to always be there. That part is neglected. This ain't the first time I'd have never said it before. I done said it before. That's why sometimes I get pissed off when I see whole niggas do whole nigga stuff. You know what I'm saying? Or I probably seen it in a few years. You know, people click up, only talk to people who they want to talk to, hang with people who they want to hang with. You know what I'm saying? I hang with whoever. But some niggas stupid and I can only tolerate you for a short period of time. Until you stop being stupid. Nevertheless. Humble yourselves, therefore, under the mighty hand of Elohim, that he may exalt you in due time, casting all your care upon him, for he cared for you. Be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary the devil, as a roaring lion, walk about, seeking whom he may devour. Whom resist, steadfast in the faith, knowing that the same afflictions are accomplished in your brethren that are in the world. But the Elohim of all grace, who have called us unto his eternal esteem by Yahushua HaMashiach, after that you have suffered a while, make you perfect, establish, strengthen, settle you. Now look at what he said. This is why that nigga walking to and fro in the earth, because he looking for who he can try, who he can devour and swallow up. But why is he looking for whom he can devour? Revelation chapter 12. See, I want to tell y'all something, man. 12 and 10. 12 and 9. See, this is what this whole nigga like to walk around doing. Then we're going to turn around. This is why y'all say, did you consider my servant Job? Why would y'all say did you consider? Because he already knew Job was silent. He already knew he was silent. Oh, no. He already knew it was silent. I almost took the whole phone on the floor. And the great serpent was cast out, that old serpent called the devil and Hashatan, which deceived the whole world. He was cast into the rats, and his malachim were cast out with him. And I heard a loud voice saying, in Shamahim, now is come salvation, strength, and the kingdom of our Elohim, and the power of his Mashiach. For the accuser of our brethren is cast down, who accused them before Elohim day and night. Come on back to the book of Job. Now, I done told y'all about this before. Hashatan walked around and accuse you in Shamahim daily. He accused you to Yah daily. That's what he do. You know what I'm saying? This ain't the first time I done told you this. But let me just coming at it again from a different direction and formation with it. So verse 8, Job 1 and 8. Yahuwah said unto Hashatan, hast thou considered my servant Job? There is none like him in the rest. a perfect and upright man, one that fear Elohim and eschew evil. Now, I just want you to pause and think about that. What type of testimony and witness is that? Wouldn't any of y'all like to have that testimony and witness that it's Yahuwah himself telling somebody? Ain't nobody like him. This is a complete man, an innocent man, a just man, a perfect man. He's upright. He fear Elohim and he reject evil. That's the type of testimony you want to have. You know what I'm saying? Verse 10. Hast thou made a hedge about him, about his house, and about all that he have on every side, that thou hast baruched the work of his hands, and the substance is increased in the land. But put forth thy hand now and touch all that he have, and he will curse thee to thy face. See, this is how Hashatan, look at how his mind operates. Did y'all catch how this nigga's mind operates? He operates that you only serve Yah for what you can get. And he said, if you take away what this man gave you, I bet you buck. This is how this nigga operate. So we have to understand that. You know what I'm saying? Let's look at the next thing that he says. Put forth thy hand, up to verse 12. And Yahuwah said unto Hashatan, behold, all that he have is in thy power. Only upon himself put not forth thy hand. So Hashatan went forth from the presence of Yahuwah. And there was a day when his sons and daughters were eating and drinking wine in their eldest brother's house. And there came a messenger unto Dob and said, the oxen plowing and the asses feeding beside them, and the Sabians fell upon them and took them away. Yea, they slain the servants with the edge of the sword, and only I am escaped alone to tell thee. And while he was yet speaking, there came also another and said, the fire of Elohim is fallen from Shamahim, and have burned up the sheep, and the servants are and consumed them, and I'm only escaped to tell thee. And while he was yet speaking, there came also another. The Chaldeans made out 3 bands and fell upon the camels and carried them away. Yea, and slain the servants with the edge of the sword, and I only am escaped to tell thee. And while he was yet speaking, there came also another. Thy sons and daughters were eating and drinking wine in their eldest brother's house. And behold, there came a great wind from the wilderness and smote the 4 corners of the house, and it fell upon the young men, and they are dead. And I only am escaped alone to tell thee. That Job arose and rent his mantle and shaved his head and fell down upon the ground and worshipped. And said, naked came out of my mother's womb, and naked shall I return thither. Yahuwah gave, and Yahuwah have taken away. Baruch be the name of Yahuwah. And in all this, Job sinned not, nor charged Elohim foolishly. Now, this man has done lost everything that he had. And the first thought that came across his mind was to bless the name of Yahuwah and to worship before his face. Now, why would that be? Why would that be? Because of what we've seen, that his comforts and the multitude of his thoughts come from his Elohim. His strength come from his Elohim. See, it's a lot of people, they couldn't have been able to take that. They said in all that, he didn't sin with his mouth. Because a lot of people, when negative thing happened, the first thing it is, why God did this to me? Why did this happen to me? Or F Yahuwah. I've seen people do it for very small things at that. Nevertheless, Job 23:1, for very small things. A lot of these niggas can't handle nothing. And the reality of it is, like I said, this man go around accusing. So we would really have to look at, when you come to certain, you look at Job, and Hashatan asked Yah to test Job, and Yah let him, because Yah already knew he was solid, and he knew he would fold. He knew he would endure it for a period of time, and then he would reveal that esteem in him at a latter end. You got to sit back and look at it. Why would Yah let something like that happen? Because he already know the person who's getting tested is a soldier. He already knows this. The person may know it, they may not know it, but that glory and power and esteem of Elohim will be revealed in them at the end of the matter. And see, some people y'all let Hashatan tell because they're gonna fold up like a tent, so he can damn them and kill them. The 23rd chapter of Job, verse 1. This is Job speaking to his homeboy Eliphaz. Then Job answered and said, even today is my complaint bitter, and my stroke is heavier than my groaning. When we look at the word complaint, it's sayak. You have a shan, a yod, and a kaf. It means anxiety, it means trouble, it means, musing or meditation. So he's letting you know that even today my anxiety, my trouble is bitter. And what he's been hit with is heavier than the groaning that he has. When we look at Shan, Yod, and Kot, we could look at consume the word, but if you just sit back and look at that, you'll be paired to the work of the right hand and 102 for that. Psalms 102 and 1. Psalms 102 and 1, so you can see that. You can study that for yourself. And then we'll go to 1 Thessalonians chapter 4. Now, this is a prayer in Psalms 102 about somebody who is afflicted and they're overwhelmed. And they but the thing that makes your heart heavy or your soul heavy, you pour that out to him. Say, hear my prayer, O Yahuwah, and let my cry come unto thee. Hide not thy face from me in the day when I am in trouble. Incline thy ear unto me in the day when I call. Answer me speedily. For my days are consumed like smoke, and my bones are burned as an earth. My heart is smitten and withered like grass, so that I forget to eat my bread. And anybody who, I think everybody should be at some point in time where you've been so down, so hurt, so sad, so troubled, you ain't want to eat. This ain't no talking about, oh, like David did, and I'm fasting, hoping y'all don't kill my child. He's someone who's afflicted and they overwhelmed. And this is what they letting y'all know. He said, by the reason of the voice of my groanings, my bones cleave to my skin. So when we look at this here and we think about pouring out that prayer or that complaint, let's sit back and look at 1 Thessalonians chapter 4. We know Yahushua told us in the 18th chapter of Acts to, well, let's get, not Acts, I said Acts, Luke 18, that's what I meant to say. Luke 18 and 1. We just going to read 18 and 1. That's it. And then 1 Thessalonians chapter 4. And he poured that complaint out to Yahuwah. That's who he poured it out to. Yahuwah is not forgetful to forget his kaseh, to forget his kadashim, to forget his saints. He hears the groaning of his prisoners. We done discussed that before. You know what I'm saying? And we're going to read it because y'all will, and we'll close with that at James. Yah is very pitiful, very compassionate. Some people believe it, some people don't. 12 and 9, let love be without dissimulation. Abhor that which is evil and cleave to that which is good. You have to get to the point where the things that are against you, who are you hate them. See, that's why I be telling you sometimes stuff I be saying, what I just be making me mad. You know what I'm talking about? Because I know y'all hate it. And I felt that I seen the brother talking about today. He talking about righteous anger. He told dude straight up and down, boy, if you ain't down with you, who will stay away from me? He said, if you ain't finna add to my shalom, stay away from me. And he told a couple of people, you run up on me, you might catch these hands. And I understood where he came from, and I wasn't mad at him either. He say, not slothful in business, fervent in ruach, serving Yahuwah, rejoicing in hope, patient in tribulation, continuing instant in prayer. See, that's where you say rejoicing in hope and patient or enduring trouble, continually, constantly making your supplications unto Yahuwah. Why? 1 Thessalonians chapter 4, then 1 John chapter 3. Very well, then. Very well. First Thessalonians chapter 4. That ain't what I want. It's 1 Thessalonians chapter 5. I'm tripping. 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, verse 14. Now we exhort you, brethren, warn them that are unruly, comfort the feeble-minded, support the weak, be patient towards all men. See that none render evil for evil unto any man, but ever follow that which is good, both among yourselves and to all men. Rejoice evermore, pray without ceasing, and in everything give thanks, for this is the will of Elohim and Yahushua HaMashiach concerning you. This man told us to pray without ceasing, not to stop. Why did he say not to stop? Before we get to what it was, I was going. 1 John, go to 1 Peter. 1 Peter chapter 3. And one thing we supposed to do, we supposed to pray for each other. You supposed to pray for the Kassid, for the saints you know, you don't know, ain't seen, ain't never seen. 1 Peter chapter 3, verse 8. Finally, be ye all of one mind, having compassion one of another. Love as brethren. Be pitiful, be courteous. Not rendering evil for evil or railing for wailing, but contrite blessing, knowing that you are thereunto called, that you should inherit a blessing. For he that will love life and see good days, let him refrain his tongue from evil, and his lips that they speak no guile. Let him eschew evil and do good, and let him seek shalom and ensue it. For the eyes of Yahuwah are over the righteous, and his ears are open unto their prayers, but the face of Yahuwah is against them that do evil. This man's ears is open to the righteous. To the righteous, his ears are open. So this is why he's telling you to. We'll read Psalm 62 right after this, 1 John chapter 3. Because life is hard, man. First John chapter 3. We'll pick it up at verse 21. 1 John chapter 3, verse 21. I want to say I had a Bible at one time that was written in this type of script. Font style. Yes, I believe so. I prefer this font style. I don't like the font style I presently have. I had a Bible that was big enough to fill this whole table. Yeah, that was my favorite Bible. He gone. She been laid to rest. Yeah, pages fell out. It was family Bible. Cover was gone. I whip him out on the street just like this here. 10, 15 pounds.
That's why I'm gonna use it.
Because your granny gave it to you? I ain't mad at you.
I don't want it to
Fall apart?
Yeah.
I ain't mad at
But
you.
I love the fine, I love the picture.
No, I got one in there, but pages done fell out. I don't need no picture.
I'm just saying, I just like the whole thing.
I just need the font. It's a lot of it on that page. I ain't got to do a lot of flipping. Nevertheless, 1 John 3 and 22, 21. Beloved, if our heart condemn us not, then we have confidence towards Elohim. And whatsoever we ask of him, we receive of him, because we keep his commandments and do those things that are pleasing in his sight. This is his commandment, that we should believe on the name of his son, Yahushua HaMashiach, and love one another as he gave us commandment. He that keep his commandments dwell in him, and he in him, and hereby we know that he abide in us by the Ruach which he hath given us. So we know that he'll hear us if we do two things: believe on Yahushua and love each other. Now, you want to be here because you pouring out your complaint. Let's take ourselves to Psalm 62. Psalm 62. I got to crank it up or not. We have 38 minutes, but shoot. Sun ain't went down yet, so it ain't close to 9 o'clock yet. I don't know. They got another 30 minutes. I get you 30 minutes. That's about it. Psalm 62 and 5. Say, my soul, wait thou only upon Elohim, for my expectation is for him. This is what I think about their comforts and your consolation. So you hear a lot of people, they say they have expectations of people and they get disappointed when the people don't do it. You know what I'm saying? And I ain't saying this. Some people say you shouldn't have expectations of people. I don't feel like there's nothing wrong with having expectations with people. I think sometimes we have expectations in the wrong people. You know what I'm saying? But you can always have your expectation from Elohim, because your reward, your consolation comes from him. He said, he only is my rock and my salvation. He is my defense, and I shall not be moved. And Elohim is my salvation and my esteem, the rock of my strength, and my refuge is in Elohim. Trust in him at all times, ye people. Pour out your heart before him. Elohim is a refuge for us. Selah. So he said, pour out your heart before him. So let's look at this here with Hamashiach. Let's go to Matthew 26, and let's see if he followed that and poured his heart out before Elohim, because his expectation and his consolation came from Elohim. That was his hope. And then we'll go look at John 17 as he poured out his heart to him. Matthew chapter 26, verse 36. Then come Yahushua with them unto a place called Jezreel, and saith unto the disciples, sit ye here while I go and pray yonder. And he took with him Peter and Zebedee, and began to be sorrowful and very heavy. And remember what we're looking at in Job, right? I need to put a little marker there for it. A little marker. Job 23, that even today my complaint is bitter, my stroke is heavier than my groaning. So the pain or the thing that he had in him, matter of fact, I'm thinking about groaning. Let's go to John chapter 11. Hold Matthew 26 and come to John chapter 11. Let's look at some heaviness in Yahushua since I just came out now. I'm looking at that. John 11:11, we'll move along. John 11:9, matter of fact. Yahushua answered, are there not 12 hours in the day? If any man walk in the day, he stumble not because he see the light of the world. But if a man walk in the night, he stumble because there's no light in him. These things said he. After that he saith unto them, our friend Lazarus sleep, but I go that I may awake him out of sleep. Then said his disciples, Master, if he sleep, he shall do well. Howbeit Yahushua spake of his death, but they thought he had spoken of taking of rest and sleep. Then said Yahushua unto them plainly, Lazarus is dead, and I'm glad for your sakes that I was not there, to the intent that you may believe. Nevertheless, let us go unto him. Then said Thomas, which is called Didymus, unto his fellow disciples, let us go also, that we might die with him. See, they thought Yahushua was finna get ready to be killed. You know what I'm saying? They looking at the statement that he made, and they think it was shoot. We all finna die today. This is another point where I'm telling you, like, even though the disciples were scattered because all those things was written, this is why Yahushua made the statement that he made that I always constantly reiterate. If my kingdom was of this world, my servants would fight. These boys were not cowards, at the least bit. And they didn't flee because they were weak. They fled because it was written, because y'all already know they would have rolled. You know what I'm saying? And if they would have rolled 9 times out of 10, they probably all would have been killed. You know what I'm saying? Therefore, they would have not been able to go accomplish what he had ordained them from the foundation of the world to accomplish. So let me scatter you from over here, because if I don't put this type of mind in your heart, these boys gonna ride and they gonna die with him. You got Thomas, the one who said, I won't believe unless I stick my hand in the print of the nails. You know what I'm talking about? He said, let us go with him, man, so we can die with him. And get what? Ain't none of them boys say, nah, I ain't going. They all went under the pretense that they thinking they finna die. Nevertheless, then when Yahushua came, he found that he'd already lain in the grave 4 days already. Now Bethany was nigh unto Jerusalem, about 15 furlongs, and many of the Yahudim came to Martha and Mary to comfort them concerning their brother. Then Martha, as soon as she heard that Yahushua was coming, went and met him, but Mary sat still in the house. Then said Martha unto Yahushua, Master, if thou had been here, my brother had not died. But I know that even now, whatsoever thou wilt ask of Elohim, Elohim will give it to thee. Yahushua saith unto her, thy brother shall rise again. Martha saith unto him, I know that he shall rise again in the resurrection at the last day. I done told y'all this before. You see the multitude of comfort that came from her soul? He said, your brother will rise again. She didn't say, I think, I hope. She said, I know he will. Now, why could she have that level of faith and confidence? Because she knew the manner of life which her brother lived. That's why I be telling y'all about being clean. See, that's confidence right there. That's when you know your expectation, like we read in Psalm 62, come from Elohim. You know what I'm saying? That come from Elohim. That's what I meant about the strength and the hope and the faith that in tribulation, I don't care how strong you is, yo. It don't matter if he ain't present. You ain't that strong. At that point, you giving credit to yourself. You know what I'm saying? And you ain't giving credit to your maker. Always give esteem to Elohim. Even in things where you think it's you, it ain't you. You know what I'm saying? It ain't you, it's him. That's the people, that's what he say about being clothed with humility. That's the people he looking for. And we going to get to it. I got to make sure I crank it up. Indeed, too, Akish, you definitely right about that. That I'm trying to get to. Give esteem to him when you up. Give esteem to him when you're down. Give esteem to him when you're strong. Give esteem to him when you're weak. Give esteem to him when you're full. Give esteem to him when you're hungry. Give esteem to him when you're clothed. Give esteem to him when you're naked. Give esteem to him when you're happy. Give esteem to him when you're sad. Give esteem to him when you have nowhere to dwell. Give esteem to him when you have a large place to dwell. You know what I'm saying? Give esteem to him when your understanding is great. Give esteem to him when your understanding is small. Because at the end of the day, everything come from him. If you say you serve him. That's how you supposed to look at it. Everything's supposed to be pointing you right back to Yahuwah. And if anybody look at you, like Peter said, in meekness and heart and in fear of Elohim, explain to them the expectation of hope that you presently have so they can understand it. That's why he sat back and you look at when you're going through tribulations and persecution, like they said, that's the time to, it's Yahuwah. It ain't me. It's the strength Yahuwah give. I can't take no credit for it. Just the power of the word of the living Elohim. Delight in him and come taste that you heard that the Lord is good. That ain't what Peter said. If you taste and you know that he good. See, some people don't know that he good. You know what I'm saying? I know that he good, so I can speak on it. Even when it's ugly to those who looking in. I've seen one of my memories last night too. Brother ain't told no lie. Just because you got money don't mean y'all with you. And just because you ain't got none don't mean he ain't. You know what I'm saying? But that's how people look at it. Because what we looking at in the Job 23 with Job answering Eliphaz, because they seen all this stuff happen to him, they say you had to sin. You got to be wicked. The Most High wouldn't do that to a righteous man. Stupid bastard. Who told you that? Who told you that? It's difficult to some things that we might have to take in this life. If it's for the esteem of Elohim, let that man be esteemed through whatever it is that we have to take. And make sure you make mention of his name, of his works and his doings, that all may know him and fear him, whether they fear him now or fear him later. 25, John 11. Martha said, 25, yeah. Yahushua said unto her, I am the resurrection and the life. He that believe in me, though he were dead, yet he shall live. Whosoever live and believe in me shall never die. Believe thou this. She saith unto him, Yea, master, I believe that thou art the Hamashiach, the son of Elohim, which should come into the world. And when she had so said, she went her way and called Mary, her sister, secretly, saying, the master has come and called for thee. Let's drop down a little bit because we don't want to read the whole chapter. Verse 33. When Yahushua therefore saw her weeping, and the Yahudim also weeping which came with her, he groaned in Ruach and was troubled. You see how we turn around and we look at this here? What we seen with Job? Even today my complaint is bitter. My stroke is heavier than my groaning. Now hold to John 11 and come back to Job 23. He groaned. He was troubled in spirit. He was sorrowful. He was sad. Shoot, that's what we dealing with right now. When I say we, I'm talking about the whole. Though that's hard on others. I'm talking about the whole. Verse 3, he said, oh, that I knew where I might find him, that I might even come unto his seat. He said that I might know that I might find him. The word seat, takuna, seat or place or appointed place, it's a tau, it's the kaf, it's the u, it's the nun, and it's the hey. So we're going to look at behold, the greatness of the work of the covenant and the sacrifice that leads to continual life. That seat. He said, if I might even come unto his seat. He said, oh, that I knew where I might find him. Well, let's look at John chapter 1 and let's see where you might. Just hold John 11. Come move around. I got to hit everything. You say you want to know where you might find him at. Oh, if you knew, your soul is troubled. Your complaint is bitter. Your stroke is heavier than your groaning. And that you might know where you might find him, that you might even come unto his seat. Well, let's see how you might find him so you can come unto his seat. Let's just see. John chapter 1, verse 44. So I said this the other day, right? I want y'all to know something. A lot of niggas got a lot of things to say about me, some of it to my face. You know what I'm saying? But I'm going to tell y'all this here. We preach the gospel of Yahushua for one reason and one reason only. Because it's the power of salvation to those that believe. Period. No other reason. You know what I'm saying? Niggas can make their mouth fry fish and make it run a 4x100 relay. But at the end of the day, we do this for one reason and one reason alone. It's the power of salvation of Elohim. It's what gives strength. It's what gives faith. It's what gives hope. It's what brings a man from death unto life. Period. I don't care nothing about you knowing you're an Israelite. I'm not finna sit down and preach that to you. I'm not even finna waste my time. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna teach you about no law. Or I'm gonna say this here, I ain't gonna preach you no law. I'll teach you the law. I ain't gonna preach you no law. If you know the word, you know exactly what I mean. Because guess what? When I preach you Yahushua, I teach you the law in the same breath. Boy, I knew this. And they ain't even finna go get him. You know what I'm saying? Because she just asked me to come get him. God. You know what I'm saying? Think about that, man. Think about that. That's what it's about. That's what it's about. That's what it's about. It's about salvation. The gospel ain't preached for no other reason than that. John 1 and 44. Make it 43. The day following, Yahushua would go forth into Galilee and find Philip and saith unto me, follow me. Now Philip was of Bethesda, the city of Andrew and Peter. Philip findeth Nathanael and saith unto him, we have found him, of whom Moses and Torah and prophets did write, Yahushua of Nazareth, the son of Joseph. And Nathanael said unto him, can any good thing come out of Nazareth? Philip saith unto him, come and see. They say they done found him. They said, oh, if I knew where I might find him. Well, they found him in Nazareth. They said, can any good thing come out of Nazareth? They said, come and see. Come and see. Oh, where I might find him, that I might come even to his seat. Well, let's see how you'll be able to come even to his seat. Revelation chapter 3. I can't even fit this nigga in my car. Behold, I stand at the door and knock. If any man hear my voice and open the door, I will come into him and sup with him. To him that overcome will I grant to sit in my throne, even as I also overcame and sat down with my Abba in his throne. He that have an ear, let him hear what the Ruach saith unto the synagogue. Look at what he just told you, right? Look at what he said, right? After he poured out his complaint, dang, I lost the page. He said that I might even come unto a seat if I knew where I might find. Look at verse 4, right? Job 23. I will order my cause before him and fill my mouth with arguments. When we look at the word arguments, it's to, ka, ah. So you got a tile, you got a you got a kaf, you got a k, you got a hey. It's rebuke or argument, also chastisement. So we see the covenant of sacrifice of the right hand, or behold, the covenant of the sacrifice of the hand. That'll separate you. Because we're going to look at this again when he's talking about arguments. Because we're going to get to that point when we come back to Matthew 26. Let's finish this verse 6 though. And Job 23. Will he plead against me with his great power? No. So we say, will Yah strive with you with his great power when your complaint is bitter and your stroke is heavier than your groaning? He says, will he plead against me with his great power? No. But he would put strength in me. So this is what he's saying, that when you, of course, the esteem that be revealed to you don't compare to your private sufferings. He said, when he plead against you, because I skipped the verse, my bad. I skipped verse 5. He said, I would know the words which he would answer me and understand what he would say to me. So Job making the statement that once he ordered his cause and he filled his mouth with his arguments, he know what Yah would answer him and he would understand what he say. He say, because we know the son of Elohim is coming, giving us an understanding that we should know him that is true, and that we are in him that is true. This is the true Elohim, even eternal life. He said, I understand what he'll say to me. He said, but right now, I got a heaviness in my heart and in my soul that's stronger than my groaning. It's stronger than the words that I can utter, that I can bring before your throne. And if I knew where to find you, I'd come to your seat. Well, you know where to find him. You can find Abba and Yahushua HaMashiach, and if you overcome, you might even come into his seat. Come into his seat to give you a palm and a white robe. He said, I order my cause before him and fill my mouth with my arguments. I know the words he'd say, answer me, and understand what he would say to me. Will he plead against me with his great power? No. He said, I'll put strength in him. This is what Job telling him. I got all that going on. He said, I'll put strength in me. That's why I reiterated that That strength that come within, that come from Yahuwah. That don't come from you. 2 Corinthians chapter 12, just to solidify that. I got to get ready to wind down. This is getting close to my time. 12:7. He said, lest I should be exalted above measure through the abundance of the revelations that was given to me, a thorn in the flesh, the messenger of Hashatan to buffet me, lest I should be exalted above measure. But this thing I besought Yahuwah thrice, that it might depart from me. And he said unto me, my grace is sufficient for thee. My strength is made perfect in weakness. We looking at Job, and his strength is being made perfect in weakness. He just sat back and said, I'll pour out my heart to Yahuwah, he'll put strength in me. Well, what is the strength that he'll put within you? It's the Ruach HaKadosh. That's the strength that he'll put within you. Where does that strength come from? Trust in Yahuwah. For trusting in Yahuwah is everlasting strength. The Ruach HaKadosh is only given to those who believe. It ain't given to nobody who don't believe. Therefore, you can't get that strength to overcome, to continue to stay in the faith, to enter the kingdom of Elohim. Matthew 26:36. Then came Yahushua with them unto the place called Jezreel, and saith unto his disciples, sit ye here while I go and pray yonder. And he took with him Peter, the two sons of Zebedee, and began to be sorrowful and very heavy. Then saith he unto them, my soul is exceeding sorrowful, even unto death. Tarry ye here and watch with me. And he went a little further and fell on his face and prayed, saying, O Abba, if it be possible, let this cup pass from me. But nevertheless, not as I will, but as thou will. And he come unto the disciples and find them asleep, and saith unto Peter, what? Could you not watch with me 1 hour? Watch and pray that you enter not into temptation. The rock indeed is willing, but the flesh is weak. And he went again the second time and prayed, saying, O my Abba, if this cup may not pass away from me, except I drink it, thy will be done. See, he said no cup of consolation for him. And he came and found them asleep again, for their eyes were heavy. And he left them and went away again and prayed the third time the same words, because the groaning, it was heavier for him to take. So he went and he made his arguments with him. He went in, but let me read that Job 23 again, because I don't want to misquote it. So we look at it, right? Even that day, in the day of his death, his complaint was bitter. His stroke was heavier than his groaning, and he was wondering where he might find him to come to his seat. He ordered his cause before him. He filled his mouth with his arguments. He didn't plead against Yahushua with his great power. He put strength in him. Where did we see him putting strength in him? Because the Malachim came and strengthened him. Came and strengthened him. Yah put that strength within you when you feel that you at that lowest possible point. Let's finish this John chapter 11 so we can get on out of here. With him groaning in his spirit. Verse 33, read it again. When Yahushua therefore saw her weeping, and the Yahudim also weeping, which came with her, he groaned in Ruach and was troubled. And he said, where have you laid him? They said unto him, Master, come and see. Yahushua wept. Then said the Yahudim, behold how he loved him. And some of them said, could not this man, which opened the eyes of the blind, have caused that even this man should have not died? Yahushua therefore again, groaning in himself, come to the grave, and it was a cave, and the stone lay upon it. Yahushua said, take ye away the stone. Martha, the sister of him that was dead, saith unto him, Master, by this time he stink, for he's been dead 4 days. Yahushua said unto her, said I not unto thee, that if thou would believe, thou shouldest see the esteem of Elohim. Now, we know what happened. He rose Lazarus from the dead. But he said, did not tell you that if, remember what we started with, the sufferings for this pleasant time do not reckon for the esteem that should be revealed in us. He said, did not tell you if thou believe you would see the esteem of Elohim? 1 Thessalonians chapter 4. And verse 13. But I would not have you be ignorant, brethren, concerning them which are asleep, that you sorrow not, even as others which have no hope. So that's why that take us back to what we read in John with Martha. She had hope. See, we're always going to sorrow when somebody leaves this life because we can't see their face no more. Like if Mashiach said, you'll cry for me because you see me no more. But he told him, you'll see me again. See, we shouldn't have that level of sorrow to that extent, like people in the world who have no hope. A nigga who in the world, remember, greater is he that is in you than he that is in the world. A nigga who's in the world, if somebody of one of them pass away, they ain't got no hope. That nigga's not resurrected from the dead. He going to hell. Do you know what I'm saying? He going to hell. Remember, hope is the evidence of things hoped for, the things not seen. So if we know that we are the set apart ones, the Kadeshim, the Kased, the Taladim, the disciples, the servants, the bots and bins of the living Elohim, he told them not to sorrow because you have a hope of which they don't have. Verse 14, for we believe that Yahushua died and rose again, even so them also which sleep in Yahushua will Elohim bring with them. For this we say unto you by the word of the master, that we which are alive and remain until the coming of the master shall not prevent them which are asleep. For the master himself shall descend from Shamahim with a shout, and with the voice of the arch Malachim, and with the trump of Elohim, and the dead in the Mashiach shall rise first. Then we which are alive and together shall be caught up together with them in the clouds to meet the master in the air, and so we shall ever be with the master. Wherefore comfort one another with these words. And that's what that come back to in that Psalms 94:19, that the multitude. Let me just read it because I don't want to read it wrong. Psalm 94:19, I just don't want to read it wrong. And that's where we turn around and see that in the multitude of my thoughts within me, thy comforts delight my soul. And that comes from that cup of consolation. That cup of consolation is your hope in Yahushua HaMashiach, which brings an understanding. Matter of fact, Philippians 4:7. Probably about 4:4. Philippians 4:4. Rejoice in the master always, and again I say rejoice. Let your moderation be known unto all men. Yahuwah is at hand. Be careful for nothing, but everything by prayer and supplication with thanksgiving. Let your requests be made known unto Elohim. And the shalom of Elohim, which pass all understanding, shall keep your hearts and minds through Yahushua HaMashiach. See how that take us back to the multitude of my thoughts in that Psalm 94, that my soul is comforted. See, we're supposed to be comforting one another with those words about those who are sleeping. The Mashiach will rise and meet him in the air. I don't think a lot of us comfort each other with the words of the resurrection of the dead, because I don't think that most of us believe that we're going to attain to it. So therefore, we don't get no comfort from it. If you know that the Ruach of the living Elohim is in you, we read that before at the beginning, that if you're not a debtor to the flesh, but if you're dead to the flesh, then you mortify the body and sin no longer reign in you. And therefore those who are led by the Ruach of Elohim are the sons of Elohim, and therefore sons, then heirs, then coin heirs, joint heirs with Mashiach, if so be you suffer with him, because the suffering of this present time does not compare to the esteem which should be revealed. That esteem is the same esteem that the apostles seen when they thought they seen a Ruach. And he said, handle me. A Ruach don't have flesh and bones as you see me have. As he told them, O fools and slow of heart to believe all the things that the prophets have spoken. Ought not Mashiach ought to suffer to enter into his esteem. They didn't think he was going to resurrect from the dead until he did it and they saw it. I don't think we going to resurrect from the dead, or those that are asleep in the Mashiach going to resurrect from the dead. Because it don't be at the forefront of our mind, but it should be at the forefront of our mind, because then our souls will be comforted. Not only for the comfort that'll come from the loss of the individual, but comfort for us one to another, to know that if we were to go fall asleep and to go rest with our fathers, that we will be resurrected from the dead in due time. But hallelujah for Yahushua and the word. We will cease and desist at this present time. I appreciate everybody this evening, and bless everybody out the house of y'all in the name of Yahushua HaMashiach, and love all y'all. Y'all willing, we pick it up on the Shabbat. Until that time.